It's now 5 years since St George's Park opened its doors to be the home of England football at all levels. And it seems to be bearing fruit. England's youth teams had unprecedented success over the summer, including winning the Under-20 World Cup and the Under-19 European Championships. The aim is to create an England team environment, which is a bit different from when I came through the England youth ranks, where we met up all over the country and sometimes I barely knew my teammates. So I've come to St George's Park to investigate what's changed since my time and most importantly find out how England can develop players that win trophies at senior level both for club and country.
It's good to just have a base where we're always coming back to the same place, you know. When we come here, we see the same media people, we see the same chefs, we see the same people around the hotel, and it just gets that feeling of you're going away, you're going to England, this is our camp, this is our team, and it's definitely helping us.
For me, like coming through the ages, through the England youth setup, it's been like home really.
I'm the granddad. It's me, there's Gaz Cahill and JD. JD's still, you know, I think we're the only 30 pluses in there. But I love it, I love being around that vibe. There's nothing better than being around young, inspired, talented footballers.
So I'm just here watching the England Under-20s train under coach Keith Downing.
We find that 20s is more a reserve group for the 21s, try a pathway for the 21s, so if they do well here, they'll step on up.
So you could kind of look at those players, you've seen what they've been able to do for England, but obviously they might not be playing at club level. Would they still keep getting brought into kind of the group, you know, to be part of it, even if they weren't starting?
Yeah, because internationally they're gaining experience, and the ultimately is to gain as much experience they can, and hopefully if they get into senior level, they'll experience all those past things and the tournament football and etc. and playing against the best in Europe. The problem we have is obviously them playing in the first teams.
Correct, yeah. So I'm here just watching the Under-21s train, a lot of whom won the Under-20 World Cup in the summer. And I suppose the feel is that St George's Park, giving them that club feel, will help with the transition from Under-21 level to the first team.
My role is the Under-21 coach. It's to get out and watch players, develop relationships with clubs and make sure we can get the best players to start with and make sure that by the time they get to Gareth they've had the whole array of experiences and been in penalty shootouts and won them and lost them.
You mentioned obviously that you go out to watch a lot of the players. How far does that relationship go? So I mean, do you talk on the phone to kind of give them some feedback on how well they're doing at their clubs? Well,
it's a difficult one, that one, JJ, because I think when you're a manager or a coach at a club, you want to work with that player every day and you have your own ideas about how he should play and what he should do. And when they come to international, it's about adding to what they've got already. So, you know, I certainly won't be telling any of our players how they should be playing if it's going against their coaches at their clubs. But as long as there's honest and open dialogue, and we've got that, then we don't have any issues.
But the thorny issue surrounding England youth teams is how much opportunity the players are going to get for their clubs, particularly those in the Premier League. The statistics show a mixed picture. Everton's Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the poster boy of the successful Under-20s team. He's already played regularly for Everton this season in the Premier League, EFL Cup and Europa League. Of the rest of the team that beat Venezuela, the ones playing regularly tend to be those on loan in the Championship, such as Josh Onuma at Aston Villa and Kieran Dowell at Nottingham Forest. Of the players at Premier League clubs, other than Calvert-Lewin, most of their first team appearances have come as sub or in the EFL Cup.
It used to be where, let's take you for example at Forest when you first came through, you did really well in your youth team, you got England recognition, but then you went into your first team at Forest. And then you're getting real life football, but it's adding to you as you get better, and then you get your moves and become a gazillionaire and everything else. These days what happens is some of the players get to a certain level and they hit a ceiling of development and they can't get through. So Nathaniel Chalabar has 97 youth caps. It's a record. He's had some brilliant experiences. He's been on loan to 5 different clubs and he wasn't quite ready to go into Chelsea's first team, and then he has a season where he's working with Chelsea but he doesn't really play. He plays 5 or 6 games and then he's got a tournament at the end of the season. So I think in Nathaniel's case, I think that we've kept him going. And another one might be Harry Kane, who was with us through the ages but also had a lot of loan spells, come back, finally got his opportunity, and if you look at him at the minute, he's doing fantastic things.
I think when you're a young player coming through to go out and just play in stadiums, play against teams who are fighting for relegation, are fighting for playoffs, just give me a great understanding of what the game was about. And it is important to be playing. There's no better thing to be playing and getting yourself out there, scouts watching you, other managers watching you. And like I say, that's the main thing. If you want to be part of the national squads, I think you have to be playing. And for me, it was a big stepping stone, a big experience that I learned a lot from.
As the players progress through the age groups, expectations increase and challenges become more complex. Current under-21 captain Joe Gomez had a difficult decision over the summer: go to the Euros with England or stay at home with his club Liverpool. You missed out, unfortunately, through injury. Mm-hmm. Who's involved in that process? Is it yourself, the club, parents? How did the process take part?
Yeah, I mean, it was a mixture, really. Obviously, I had to speak to the club, all the staff there, the manager and so on, and then it was also a personal thing. Like, I had to speak to my family, but mainly me. I mean, no one could make the decision for me. You never want to not play for your country, but I knew that I just needed to be in a manager's eye in pre-season and for him to see me.
It must feel like the right decision was made now as well, given the fact that you're playing first team football at Liverpool and captain now for the 21s, and must feel a little bit closer to taking that next step into the senior squad.
Yeah, I think everyone can see a pathway, and it's great that the first team manager now has previously been the 21s manager, so I think it's clear that the bridge is there to move on.
So what are the facilities like here for the players? We asked Freddie Woodman, who famously saved a penalty in the under-20 final in the summer, and Gabby George of Everton to give us a peek behind the scenes.
We're going to go to the changing room. It's kind of our zone. This is set up for the under-21s training, but it's the same for the women's setup. We normally have our music playing. Personally, I'm into like Drake, a bit of R&B, and it's just great to come in and everything's set out for you and we can just concentrate on training.
These are the bedrooms. As you can see, there's 2 beds. You have to share rooms when you come away, but it's not too bad. If you get a good roommate, he doesn't snore and that, you get a good night's sleep. In every room you get a different picture on the wall, so sometimes you get a legend. I've had Gaza, Peter Beardsley, some Newcastle legends in my time, so no, it's really good.
I think it's very inspirational. There's a lot of the women's team on here. There's the England captain Steph Houghton, and they're next to some of the men's football team, which is a great thing for us, being next to the likes of Harry Kane and Wayne Rooney.
I think when you're a young player coming through, man or woman, you can look up to the senior squad and see them. It gives them maybe a little more of an incentive to try and be part of that team.
So this is the end point. This is the England senior team, and the hope is that this environment will help that transition so it wasn't as daunting for them as it was for me. For the senior team boss, there's one statistic that jumps out: the number of English players to choose from playing regularly in the Premier League. Let's take a typical weekend of club football a couple of weeks ago. In the Premier League, out of 220 players starting, just 65, fewer than a third, were English. Let's compare that with the last 3 nations to win the World Cup. In the same weekend in Serie A, 40% of the players were Italian. In the Bundesliga, the figure is 43%, and in Spain, well over half of the players playing La Liga were Spanish.
Is the senior team ready to win? Is it getting resourced the best that it can be? Maybe not quite yet. If we've got more players playing regularly in the top league, then we've got a better chance of getting a better England team. Simple as that. We've got this brilliant Premier League and the best coaches and the best players in the world. We've also got a lot of averageness in it that could be changed by good young players coming through the system and giving their opportunity.
The question everyone wants answered is, will the setup at St George's Park ultimately lead to a World Cup win for England next summer in Russia or in Qatar in 2022? Without having a crystal ball, it's impossible to know.
There's no stone being left unturned, put it that way. I honestly feel great around the England team. I feel like England are going to do something very special very soon, and I want to be part of it, and that's what drives me every day.
I always want to play for England. It's just a different buzz to obviously club football. Every time I put on that shirt and wear the badge, I wear it with pride, and I'm excited.
But if it does happen, the players that graduate through the system will be legends forever, just like those gentlemen of 51 years ago.